I got first called transphobic because of the Fallon Fox thing, because that fighter that was beating the shit out of biological women without telling them that she was a man for
Cracked
30
one of their
plus
skulls
years.
within like 30 seconds.
Bragging about it. And I was like, that's fucking crazy. And people were like, you're out of line. You're a bigot. I'm like, what are you saying? And granted, I used very inappropriate language and very colorful language to describe this because I was furious.
As you should be.
But I wouldn't be. And there's another recent case that people brought before me, like, this is outrageous, this is bullshit, of a guy who I think he was a ranger or a SEAL, like super fucking jacked, like ripped dude who transitioned and became a woman and fought this woman. I don't have a problem with that. Zero problem with that because it was her decision. Just like I don't have a problem with people riding bulls. I don't have a problem with people free diving with sharks. Do whatever the fuck you want to do.
But the Fallon Fox things, the opponents didn't know, right? Exactly.
The first two fighters didn't know that she was a biological male for 30 years. It's fucked up. And she said that it was a medical decision. It was a medical issue, and it wasn't any of their business. I
don't think your sex is a medical issue. It's just kind of a state of being and it might be important to certain situations. Like if I go to a doctor's office, I always find that it's very important for me to tell them that I'm male to female transsexual because there's going to be certain things that they need to maybe screen me for my health or look out for that are specifically to biological males. And those are things that, I can change a lot of that, but not all of it.
But at least that is like patient-physician relationship, and
no one's getting assaulted.
Yeah, but it's also it's private.
Yeah,
this is a public thing. So I think her perspective was that if she tells these people that she was a biological male for 30 years and then transitioned, that she'll get publicly persecuted and people would be upset. But you got to give people the opportunity to say no. Like, I don't want to compete against someone like this, especially in the level of competition that she was facing.
In combat sports specifically.
Yeah, but it's also like it's low-level combat sports. It's like once she fought a biological female that kicked her ass, Ashley Evans Smith, who eventually made her way to the UFC, who was talented, like very good, and wound up beating her. It's like because it wasn't like she was very good, but she had all these advantages of having male hormones flow through your body for 30 plus years.
Yeah, that's
the
other thing.
It's a big advantage.
30 years of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, just to be kind of real about it, if I, for whatever reason, like right when I moved from LA to Texas, I was in between doctors. So I was literally off hormones for maybe 3 to 4 weeks. And like, I've been on them so consistently for so many years now, but I didn't realize how quickly it gets reversed if you're not on. Like, I didn't see necessarily physical changes, but just psychologically, like just so many things. People really underestimate.
When did you get off?
It was like I moved here September 1st, so from like September 1st to like October, I wasn't on.
And what happened? What was the shift?
My skin got really oily. My hair got really oily. I literally felt my arm hair get slightly thicker. I have almost no arm hair, but with what is there, I felt it get a little bit thicker.
Were you like, yikes?
Yeah, I was like, I gotta get a fucking doctor. Oh my God. About to get some black market shit. Don't do that, no. But yeah, and that's only a month after being on them consistently for 8 years. So if you've lived your life until 30, 35, maybe even longer, you have received the full impact of masculinization via testosterone.
Yeah.
And that's not inconsequential. And people act like it is. It's a huge thing.
Well, there's a guy that was on my podcast recently. His name's Derek. He runs the website, the YouTube page, More Plates, More Dates. Have you ever, he's like an amateur chemist. He's a brilliant guy, but he knows a lot about steroids. He's done a lot of steroids himself, and he knows a lot about hormones and hormone optimization, and he even runs a hormone clinic. And he did a series of videos about the problem with people transitioning and like what are the benefits that these athletes are facing that activists are not being straight about. And he went over specifically this MMA fighter that used to be was he a Ranger or a SEAL when he was a male?
I think he was a Navy SEAL or a Marine.
Yeah, whatever. Jacked.
Like, huge motherfucker. Like, he was hot.
Yeah, pretty hot.
He was like actually pretty hot. I was like,
yeah. And then became a woman and started, fighting in MMA. But again, I have zero problem with that.
If
no
it's
problem.
Consensual.
Special Forces. Yeah, Special Forces.
Okay.
So he did a whole video on him. Now there's a swimmer who just beat her
saw that.
slowest, the next closest competitor by 38 seconds.
But see,
that is wild.
but the thing about that is like I think it's very easy to get a little reactionary to things like this and be like, oh, this is like a really bad thing. And I agree that it's a bad thing, especially if it's not consensual, like you said. But like, what better way to show one of the major pitfalls of like this ideology, like than just seeing it?
In sports,
yes,
right,
because
where it's measurable.
just to see the like physical difference sometimes between them. You don't have to be like into sports or a fucking scientist to see like, oh, that's a huge human, that's a small human, and that person's probably going to have an advantage in some way over this
Yeah.
person. Some of them are just like fucking big, and you see them lined up playing track or something, running track, and like it's okay.
Do you know
Those
the-
legs are long.
The craziest one that I ever heard of?
What?
A 50-year-old guy transitioned to being female.
Caitlyn Jenner?
No. She's older than that. She's in her 60s.
Yeah, she is.
50-year-old guy, and then went back to college and played college ball.
Wait, went back to-
So women's college ball as a 50-plus-year-old man that's like 6'5", this fucking giant person. What's crazy is, here's where it becomes a problem. If you're a woman, that's him right there. Or her
Oh,
right there.
I've seen that one. See,
Yeah.
this is what I mean. When you just see it and it's plain as day like that, it's really hard to argue for it. People still manage to
These
somehow,
are
but
teenage girls.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
this is, and what's really fucked is that these girls, for a lot of these 19, 20-year-old girls, like they might be working on a scholarship, right? They
be
might
there
want
through their academic or their sports merits and like
they might want to play in the NBA as a professional, and here they're competing against a biological male that's gigantic. That's a huge person.
why you got to go back to and if there's this many trans athletes wanting to compete, like where are the trans leagues at this point? I feel like those should maybe be a
that
thing.
would be great.
I would
if
love
they
to
had
see-
trans leagues, but then that would be a problem because the male to female would dominate.
Well, yeah, I would say separate it, just male to females and maybe female to male separate.
Yeah,
Just like a reverse
right.
of what we already have.
two, right?
Like I would love to
Two
see
trans
Fallon
leagues.
Fox box. What's her name? Alana McLaughlin, the other trans woman fighter, the one with the pink hair.
Oh.
It's like y'all just go at it. Duke it out. I want to.
If they're the same weight
You,
class.
you can't tell me like you wouldn't want to like just hit a blunt and watch two trannies beat the fuck out of each other. That's hilarious.
It would be
Jerry Springer.
It would be more fair for sure if you had male to female league. But it's like, is there enough? Are there enough like male to female combat sports athletes that you could actually have a league and have people that would have opponents? Because you have to have, if you're gonna have a weight class, say if you have a 135-pound weight class, you have to have X amount
Yeah.
of women in that weight class to compete.
Probably will be soon now that like a huge chunk of like kids are wanting like it's going to be more trans people in the future. A lot more.